All right. We're gonna be trying to figure out the move type move. Hopefully we'll be able to move an empty or move a singular lay stone. Hopefully we'll be able to move a singular lay stone out of a space and into a orthogonal space at the end of this programming session. So if we turn this back on, now if the left mouse button is pressed and our mouse grids are not nil and our move type is place, or no, move, then we need to remove the stone from that space and put it at our mouse. So that's what we do here with this trigger first movement locked. Okay. What do we do with this first movement locked actually? So if our first movement is locked, then we render the appropriate stone at our mouse X and Y. So that'll give the appearance of rendering the stone at our mouse, but at this point, when we click on a space that has a stone, that space will become nil. But we need a way to keep track of how many stones are controlled or held by the mouse. And then there's a couple of other things we need to figure out, like what happens when we click on a stack. If we're in move type move, what happens when we click on a stack in our control? Right now it's nullifying everything that's in that stack, but if there's more than 5, it can't nil that whole stack because you can't pick up more than 5, so there would still be something in that stack. So we need to figure out what exactly we want to happen when we click a stone when we're in move state and we have control. So we would need to decide how many pieces to move, how many pieces to pick up from our stone. So, gosh, it's so tough. If the grid spaces dot occupants is equal to 1, we know we need to nullify the stack. So maybe we just start there. Because there's going to be a method to where I want to, once we click on a space when we're in move, I want the color to be different than the highlight red color, because it indicates like, hey, this is the space at which you initialized your move type of move. And then I want to render green on that space to signify that's where you started, and then wherever because you can drop up to 5 stones, we need to lock in the direction upon one direction being inputted, and then geez. But then we have to check. Okay, there's so much stuff. So let's just start with the, if move type is move, if we click it and the occupant in that grid is 1, because then we know we need to nullify. So this control highlight here is if we take a look at what this is actually doing, it should be doing, it's flipping a boolean in the corresponding grid if we have control in that space. So right there, if our move type's move, and our mouse is under the very grid, we change that very grid, and our stack control is in accordance to our player, then we flip that control highlight to true. And then in our members, if our control highlight, where is it? In our occupant, if our control highlight is set, then we're setting a different color. So instead of this being RGB, we want RG. So like, let's say this is actually 0, this is actually 255. So now if we select a move type move, so we use the arrow key to change what our move type is or place. So if we get a couple stones here, it's white's turn. So over here, nothing highlights, but if we go over the white, it should be highlighted in green now. It is. Cool. But then if we switch to place, it doesn't highlight, but any empty spot will highlight red. So place is red square, and then control highlight is green at the moment. And we actually have control over the standing stone, which is game accurate, so that's working properly. So here there's 3 stones, right? There's the first white stone, then a second black lay stone, and then on top is a standing stone. So what I want to have happened is when I click on a space in our control, right now it's gonna nullify that stone. Actually, it doesn't do that. So we need to, we didn't save this. If we click and we have our control highlight, then it nullifies that stone, but we also need to say, and the grid at that space, grid at IJ dot occupants, which is how many stones in the space, and occupants is equal to 1, then we need to nullify the first member, lock in our first movement. That's a little different, but let's see if that now disappears. So move type move, if we click, it should disappear. It does not. This is in our mouse press detection, so I'm a little confused. Our control highlight is true, and our occupants should be equal to 1, so we should remove that grid. What does the first movement locked actually do right now? We render it at our mouse position. So for whatever reason, our first movement locked. We get it set to start to false. We never flush it, but we don't need this just yet because that triggers the render, right? But we need to say control will no longer be set, and we're trying to nullify the type and the color, so it should disappear once we click it. Okay, it does disappear. Now, ideally we want the stone. So is this what's messing that up? First movement locked might need to be in a different class or something. Oh, okay. So yeah, that's what we want. I don't know why that was. Oh, because I didn't save it, I think. But so I think bright green highlight will be what it looks like when it's with like the control highlight. But once our first movement is locked, we are gonna turn that grid into not control highlight, but locked highlight or movement locked highlight, something like that. That's in the occupant class. So we need something like a self move locked highlight, something like that. Set it, initialize it to false, and then if our move locked highlight is true, then we're going to set that green to be, what if we do this like half opacity or something. If move locked highlight, then do that, and then we can say move locked highlight at this grid, because this is our occupant. We'll say set the move locked highlight equal to true for that space. Let's see if that renders a green upon that space we just clicked, but it should be like a not as bright green. So yeah, see that bright green? And then if we click, okay, it looks like it's rendering the control. It still says we have control there, which we shouldn't. But it should also, okay, I think it's overriding it, but we actually, oh, it's not dot control, it's stack control. Which is, yeah, stack control. So let's see if we render that different color green now. Nope. So here, if our move type is move, if our control highlight is true on any of our grids, okay, yeah, that's different. So like, that shouldn't, I don't know. I feel like we need to change that. Like this line of code renders the control highlight, but we're not rendering the first move locked highlight, or move locked highlight. So if we're this or we're move locked highlight, then render that highlight. So now maybe we will render that lighter green color where our stone just was. Okay. It's kind of interesting. I know why it's doing that. It's doing that because of the opacity. The lines we're drawing have two intersecting so let's not mess with the opacity. Let's just draw a lesser green. So in our occupant highlight, will not mess with the opacity here. That's interesting though, that looks kind of cool. So we'll give our green maybe a half as strong green. So now our spot that we just moved from, yep, that's perfect. That's exactly what I want. So now if our first move is locked, we can only move orthogonally, not diagonally, because right now it's still rendering control highlight based on control, but if our first move is locked, we need to take whatever our first move was and do some arithmetic, because this is what? This is 2, 3 on the index. Yeah, 2, 3 on the, or 2, yeah, brackets 2, 3 on the index. So we need to say, hey, if our x, it's like we need to store our first move, or our most recent move. Yeah, we need to store our most recent move as an index. And then we need to say, only render the control highlight, or yeah, not the control highlight. It would be a new highlight, because control highlight means it highlights if we have control and we haven't clicked yet. So if we have our first move locked, we shouldn't be rendering control highlight. But instead we need to say brackets 2, 3. And if the bracket 1, 3, 1 less, 1, 3 is empty or populated with a laystone or a, yeah, just or laystone, because we can't move onto a standing stone or a capstone of any color. So we need to check. How we check orthogonally is if we have our 2, 3, we say our top is going to be 1, 3, our left is going to be 1 or 2, 2, and then it's going to be 2, 4, and then it's going to be 3, 3. Yeah. So we need to do that. So I guess first step would be to stop rendering control stack if our first move is locked, because we shouldn't be able to do that. So we need to stop rendering control highlight if our yeah, this is why it's paired like this. So maybe I think we have to say So if our move types move, if our control highlight is true and we're not locked, then render that control highlight. But no, we need to set the control. It's a little different than that because our control highlight is still, well, yeah, our control. It's almost like we only. Yeah, this won't fix the problem. So control highlight is just a Boolean that swaps it in our render. So it's almost like we need we can say this, if control highlight, sure, go ahead and render it, but in our render we say, hey, if we're control highlight and not first movement locked. And I should be able to use, I'm thinking I'll be able to use this variable because it's global. But we'll see. So now we should only render control highlight if we're not first movement locked. So now we should stop. We should not highlight that bright green once we've locked in and moved there. Cool. But we're not rendering our locked highlight, else if the grid is IJ locked, movement locked, first movement locked, dot first movement locked, Boolean, then also render. Well, no, yeah, we can do it just like we did before, where you say if it's control highlight or if it's first movement locked, then render. And maybe that'll do the trick. See, it disappeared. Why did it disappear? It renders it fine while we're over it, but as soon as we move out of it, it stops rendering it, which I'm a little confused by. It's moveLockedHighlight is what it is. That's what it is. moveLockedHighlight. That's why. Well, we'll see if that's why. It should stay highlighted, that darker green. Yes. Okay, so the next step now, so like the that lighter green is that first moveLockedHighlight, or moveLockedHighlight, which gets set upon the move type, but this is only if I thought we only do this if the occupants is 1. Where is our occupants is 1 logic? Really? What? guess we didn't do that. We did that. In our click detection, if our move type is move, see, because we only need to, oh yeah, we took it out. I remember now that we took it out. And our very grids. Very grids dot occupants is equal to 1. Then we nullify the stone, do all that stuff. Okay, that breaks this. Doesn't make us move. So either our occupants is not getting set appropriately. If we print up our occupants here, we can say our occupants field to get printed up as occupants and convert to a string and put it lower on the screen. Yeah, so our occupants are not getting registered properly. Once we click in a move type place, in our place state here, once we click in a move type place, we need to give our occupants a 1. So occupants gets 1, and we're occupied. We need to reset occupied upon a move. So when we nullify, we need to set our occupied to nil as well. So we say, hey, we're no longer occupied. Let me see what our occupied actually does. It doesn't really do anything other than just track as a Boolean. So I guess now, hopefully, we should be able to, yep, our occupants is working now. And then what was busted when I did this? I'm forgetting what was busted when I was trying this. Oh, it's just that we can only click on occupants 1. That wasn't working before. Because now we actually have this and occupancy is equal to 1. That'll allow us to move it. But yeah, okay. So we've got that working. So that's cool. We've got the framework for moving at least a single stone out of its space, which we're gonna have to really work on the multiple stones. But it's at least working for now. I've got to go drive down to work in 10 minutes, so I think I'm gonna go wrap it up here. Tomorrow we will fix our not this. Is we will do this tomorrow. Factor out that to make that a little tidier, but then we have to also start lock in last moved grid, so we can determine move highlight. So that's the grid arithmetic. Once we've moved, then we need to do that grid arithmetic to find out orthogonally if we hover over a space, only highlight the space that would be a valid move. So that would mean it would have to be, it could be occupied, but it'd have to be occupied by a lay stone, not a standing stone or a capstone. So then we can determine the placement. Yeah, it's gonna be a lot, but we're making progress. We got a little step done today, and we've got it. You know, we're making progress. We're just chugging along. If we take a look at our get diff here, we added a move locked highlight boolean, which is our darker green, to highlight once we have locked in a move, locked in that first move. Then we do our render. What is this? We used to have it where we only set our color for the control highlight, but now we do it. I'm actually a little confused at this. If I move locked highlight, then we set our color. Yeah, and then, okay, so we need to, this is the line we added so that we don't render control highlights if our move type move if we've already locked in our first move. And then if we have locked in our first move, then we render our color at that darker green color. But we set our highlight. Yeah, well, we're gonna have to do some more. Like we might have to lock in, instead of just this boolean saying if it's locked, lock in that, no, lock grid. Okay, no, that makes sense. We're only we're making that boolean move locked highlight to be equal to true if we've clicked it and our occupants was 0. So we just have to make sure to flush that move locked highlight for every grid that had that true. So every on the end of a move, I have to make sure to do that. Upon move type move ending, flush all move locked highlights. We'll just have to make sure to do that. And then we got our occupants. We fixed assigning our occupants once we place a stone in there. And then we actually flush that occupied once we click in a move type move. And then we fixed our stack control bug. So we no longer have stack control if we click on a move type move and we only had one lay stone there. And then we render our move locked highlight as well. So yeah, so like I guess we would say commit with a message saying added move type move, added move locked highlight logic for first move locked first movement. then we'll get pushed to our repository. Cool. So we've got some stuff we're going to tackle tomorrow, and then we'll just keep chugging along. If I don't know when to go back to Joust. I don't know if I should just try to finish Joust, but I've been liking switching up this project because it's so different than Joust. But I do want to finish Joust, so yeah, maybe once I'm stuck on some of the movement, I'll just kind of alternate. You know, I've got like the main project and a mistress project, and this is kind of the mistress project, I guess. But I think it's helpful to have those multiple options. So if I get stuck on either one, I can just take a break from one and work on the other. So I think that's good. I'll see you guys tomorrow. I did program pretty early today. Not first thing in the morning, but it's, you know, before the evening, so that's good.